Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
On February 23rd, 2022, two officers would respond to the 911 distress call from 829 Stony Brook in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that Tara Pacanic and Steve Hendricks had originally called about the findings they would find in the basement of their home. Officer Warnish and Palunky would arrive at the home, and upon entering the house, they would notice that the signs around the home would have clear signs that it didn't seem that anyone was there aside from a light being on the side door. As Warnish and Palunky would knock on the door, Tara Pacanic would answer and would request that the police remain quiet as they had other family members inside the home that were sleeping, and they just did not want anyone to be awoken by the police. Officer Warnish and Palunky would say that they would do their best. It's there that Tara Pacanic would paint a picture for the police officers and let them know what they had known prior to what they had found on this particular morning, where Tara would tell the police that 2 days prior to the discovery, she had picked up her son and taken him to her home, where he often stayed in their basement as it had a bigger area, a sleeping area, and a bathroom for her son to use. And would say that around that time, her son had been hanging out with his girlfriend, Taylor Coronado, whom she had known throughout her son's childhood, as Taylor Coronado was a childhood friend and an on-again, off-again girlfriend of Shad Therian. Tara would go on and tell the police that earlier in the week, Taylor and Shad had actually left the home and had actually returned sometime on Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, where Tara would tell the police that she would be awoken around 3:30 in the morning to the sound of her front door being open and shut shortly, followed by a car opening and driving off, which she had assumed that it was Taylor leaving the home for the night. Tara would then say after hearing Taylor leaving, she would go down to the foot of the stairs where she would find the black bucket and the towel draped over the top, where she would take it off, and she would find the contents in the bucket in a slurry of blood, bodily fluids, organs, and the decapitated head of Shad Therian. It was there that Warnish had speculated that it was possibly Tara Pacanic may have been having a mental breakdown or had not been on various medication, as this information was kind of hard to believe. And Warnish would ask Palunky to stay with both Steve Hendricks and Tara Pacanic as he would go downstairs to investigate. Warnish would notice that at the downstairs basement was everything as Tara Pacanic had described, but his main focus was walking over to the black bucket that she had described being at the base of the stairs. He would bend down, pick up the towel from the bucket, and jump back. It's there he would call down for Palunky, where Palunky would go down the stairs and he would usher him over to the bucket and put the flashlight over the bucket and go, "That's real, right?" To where Palunky, who had been on the police force for at least 2 years, would turn completely pale white and confirm it was exactly what Tara Pacanic had said. Palunky would then go back up the stairs to check up on Steve and Tara, where Warnish at this time would actually grab his radio and would request for more backup. While Warnish was waiting for his superiors and other officers to return, he would begin poking around in the basement, and it's there that he would find himself over to where the bed was and just kind of flashing his light around the mattress, where he would quickly call on the radio again, and this time he would say on the radio, "Could we get some officers over here sooner than later? That would be very much appreciated. We've got a lot of blood down here." Backup would arrive shortly afterwards, and the forensic team and the police would actually take everyone inside the residence and usher them outside, as they would then proceed their investigation inside the home. That would be a multi-hour task, finding not only what happened to Shad Therian, but where the rest of his body was, where the crime scene investigators and the police would both learn that whoever had unalived Shad Therian had went through great lengths, not just to decapitate him, but to also cut up his body and hide it all around the basement. They would find his torso in a tote box, and within the torso of Shadtherian, they would also find one of his feet stuffed inside of it. They would find his other limbs kind of sprung about in different corners of the basement. His organs and other parts of his body would actually be stuffed into these shopping bags where they too were tied up and thrown into cardboard boxes. The chunks and bits and pieces of his skin and flesh that had been torn off from all the mutilation had actually been swept up underneath the furniture. Inside the black bucket, as I said in the beginning of the video, they would find Shadtherian's decapitated head. They would also find his genitals and various kitchen knives swimming around in the slurry of slush that would be later found out to be Shadtherian's blood and other body fluids. One of the biggest reasons why no one was tipped off about all the mutilation that was inside the basement, as because all the body parts were so very well hidden, it wouldn't give off a smell of decomposition. But as the forensic team and the police were uncovering all of the body organs and the body parts out from being hidden, the smell of decomposition was starting to fill the room. Being now that this was an obvious homicide investigation, and being from the reports of Tara Packenick, the last person that had seen Shadtherian alive would be his girlfriend, Taylor Coronado. And the police would actually find Taylor Coronado in the police records, as she had various different crimes throughout the years with the Green Bay Police Department. But Taylor Coronado would not be the name that would pop up on the police record. Instead, the name would pop up Taylor Schabusiness. And given what the police had just found at Tara Packenick's basement, they would then go to the apartment of Taylor Schabusiness. Taylor Schabusiness was born Taylor Denise Coronado on September 23, 1997 in Evanston, Illinois. She would be born to both parents, Marla and Arturo Coronado, and she would also have a brother as well, Arturo Jr. Coronado, or AJ for short. Now I'm just going to make a little side note for the rest of the story. Because there are two specific AJs in this story, there is an AJ that Taylor became friends with, and there's AJ Taylor's brother. So in order to avoid any type of confusion, I'm going to refer to Taylor's brother as Junior. But anyways, let's continue with our story. And when Taylor was 11 years old, Arturo would actually move Marla Jr. and Taylor to Green Bay, Wisconsin as a way to make better money. Unfortunately for Taylor, Marla would actually have a terrible addiction to drinking alcohol. And this addiction would even cause health issues, as around the time that Taylor was 11, she would acquire a cirrhosis of the liver. But this unfortunate health problem would not stop Marla from drinking alcohol. It's said on one particular night that Arturo would have a family night with his family, to where Marla, Arturo, and Taylor and Junior would actually be sitting around and watching TV, and shortly after that, they would both go to bed. To which Arturo would wake up with a very unsettling scene, as he would wake up and he would find his wife cold to the touch. Being completely afraid that he didn't want his kids to wake up and see the scene of their mother unalive on the bed, he would quickly shut the bedroom door and get the kids ready for school and send them on their way. Where Junior and Taylor unfortunately would get the news of their mother's demise when they would return home from school. Marla Coronado was only 41 years old. Now, it's said that 12-year-old Taylor Coronado would not take the news of her mother's passing very well, and it's around this time that she would begin having multiple mental illnesses, specifically anxiety, ADHD, and bipolar disorder, where by the time that she was in middle school, she was already in therapy. The doctors would prescribe her multiple medications, Seroquel and Adderall, for various different types of mental disabilities. But she would just refuse to take them because both medications made her feel a certain way that she didn't like. This would be a reoccurring pattern down the road, as unfortunately Taylor would suffer much more tragedies.